Okay, so let's call the open portion of our meeting to order, and this is Tuesday, June 9, 2015, our Board of Selectmen's meeting. We met starting at 6:30 p.m. this evening to conduct an executive session relative to a contract negotiation. I'll speak a little bit further about that later in the meeting. But we want to begin the open portion of our meeting, and I want to welcome those who are with us in person and those who may view this at a later date to the Selectmen's meeting for this evening. At the outset of all of our meetings, we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd like to invite everyone to join us for that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're pleased to have some invited guests with us this evening, some young residents of Tewksbury, recent graduates, I believe primarily from Tewksbury Memorial High School, but also potentially from Shawsheen Tech here in Billerica. And if no private high schools to my recollection, right? Okay. So what we wanted to do, certainly as a community and as a nation, every Veterans Day we take time as a nation and a community to pay our respects to those who serve in our military, and rightly so. And certainly every Memorial Day we gather together as a community and as a nation, and we pay our respects to those who have served our nation and in many instances have given the ultimate sacrifice and have offered their lives in service of our country and its their fellow residents. Last year, at the suggestion of Selectman Wentworth, and I believe supported by Selectman Panelitis conceptually, the board here thought that we should take one more step, and it's a small step of recognition, but we recognize that here in our community, a lot of our high school graduates make the decision to go out into the workforce. Some obviously go off to college at some level, and yet a few make the decision to enter into the military. And we feel collectively that that's something that we should honor and respect and recognize as a community. So we, in a very small way tonight, just want to recognize those 6 individuals that we're aware of here in Tewksbury. Take a few minutes to thank you for your volunteering to do that, because that is certainly a tremendous step to take to serve your fellow citizens, particularly in times of conflict, but more importantly, to recognize that you volunteered to take on that responsibility. And we wanted to take a minute just to recognize each of you with a citation from the Board of Selectmen, but more importantly, on behalf of the residents of the town. So I'm going to read just one, and then I'm going to ask my colleagues to help me to recognize each of you individually, and we'll call you up to do that. So this is a citation from the town of Tewksbury. Be it hereby known to all that the Board of Selectmen and the residents of the town of Tewksbury hereby offer their sincere congratulations and appreciation to each of you in recognition of your enlistment in the United States Coast Guard, Army, Marines, to voluntarily serve your country, community, and fellow citizens. It is an honor for all residents of Tewksbury to have among us young men and women like you who are inspired to serve and protect our country during times of conflict. On behalf of our community, the Selectmen thank you for your service and look forward to welcoming you home upon your return, given this 9th day of June, 2015. So let me ask first, Selectman Wentworth, if you would please call up Jake Cuniff and present this citation to Jake if he's here. There he is. Come on up, young man. And Mr. Panelitis, if you would do the honors and present Joshua Kenny with a citation. Mr. Gay, sir, would you please present this citation to Justin Lecoe? Selectman Crabman, I have a citation here. Ask you to present it to Brendan O'Connor. And I'd like to ask our town manager, Mr. Montori, to present this citation to Henry Roberts. Take the honors of presenting this last one to Lucas Tyson. Is Lucas here? We got stood up again. All right, so we'll make sure we get this to Lucas in the next few days. So just in closing, thank you for coming out this evening to join us. I know this is just a small recognition of your service. We certainly wish each of you Godspeed. We want you to be safe. We look forward to hearing about your endeavors, and most importantly, we want to thank you on behalf of the town for your volunteerism and spirit of service to our nation. So thank you. Yep. So could we ask the 6 of you, if 5 of you that are here, if you want to just come up here, we want to get one quick shot, okay? If you don't mind. Just turn around so the newspaper can get you, okay?
A little more relaxed. Turn a little bit this way.
You gotta say at ease.
That's right.
Okay, gentlemen. I guess it's at ease it is. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Congrats, guys.
All right. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Can you imagine the pictures since they're all enjoying cleaning services, they may not get along together once they get out.
Yep.
Put them all together.
I hear you. Yep. All right. So let's get back to our business session here. We have a discussion about proposed Victor Drive development. I think there's representatives on behalf of Mr. Ginsberg. Oh, Mr. Ginsberg is here himself, okay. And your development team, I presume?
Yes, sir.
So make yourself comfortable. You're welcome to sit at the table. There's plenty of microphones around.
These guys, couple minutes to set up, please.
Take your time.
Right. Jim.
Yep.
So you good to go? All set up?
Good deal.
All right, so we'll, let me just appreciate your being here, Mr. Ginsberg, and I'll let you introduce your team, as I haven't met them yet, but I know you wanted to meet with us and I presume give us a kind of a 30,000-foot level view of what you've proposed for Victor Drive. Is that
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So for the record, I'm Mark Ginsberg, the proponent there. With me tonight is Joe Kahn and Jim Hanley there. They're both the consultants on board, and they'll run through the development for you.
Okay, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. So tonight, again, my name is Jim Hanley. I'm a professional civil engineer licensed in Massman, New Hampshire. And tonight, what I'd like to kind of do for you is kind of, like you said, give you the overall summary of what we're trying to do out on Victor Drive. Talk a little bit about where we've been so far and what we've been able to accomplish. A little bit about the overview of the proposed development. Joel's going to talk a little bit about operations and amenities for the proposal. And then as we close here, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the consideration and offsite improvements that Mark is proposing as part of the development. So where have we been and what have we done? So tonight, in the plans that we provided to you a couple of weeks ago, it's really the result of 9 months to a year of a detailed design and a coordinated effort between the design team, including myself as the site engineer, team of architects, industry experts like Joel. We had a traffic engineer specifically study the impact in that area on Victor Drive at the intersection of Main Street and the surrounding neighborhood roadway network. We also had environmental consultants involved. We actually had a hydraulics engineer that went out and did some testing of the existing infrastructure in the area, just to confirm that we have adequate capacity out there. So this is kind of a significant effort that we've made over the last 9 months or so with a team of consultants. What we've done is we've developed the design, worked with the architect, and before we even got into a situation where we had a formal submittal to the town, we met with the planning board on 2 or 3 occasions just to kind of give them the once over and give them an opportunity to provide us feedback before we move into final design. One of the things that's really helpful from our perspective is the town twice a month has these department head meetings. So before we, again, finished our final design, we went in with a couple of different options that kind of saw the whole plan evolve. We were able to get some really good feedback before we got to the point where it was finalized and we had to go in and change that. We did that probably 2 or 3 times as well. Finally, last fall, and I think earlier this spring, we met with the abutters, specifically at Carter Green. Patrick Road's located about in between our access driveway and Main Street. So we knew they have some concerns there. So we met with them again in a preliminary format. Not to mention town engineer, I've met with a couple of times to talk about some pretty specific things, and fire department and access. That's another thing that is significant when you get a development of this scale. We want to make sure that they are okay with what we're proposing. So far, so good. So what's out there right now? So this site is located basically about 600 or 800 feet off of Main Street on Victor Drive. It's about 300 or 400 feet west of Patrick Road, and the wind school is further up at the end of Victor Drive. The underlying zoning that we have here is multifamily residential, and what we're proposing is to develop under the Community Village Overlay Zoning District. So the existing underlying zoning is multifamily. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the history of the project, but somewhere around the mid-2000s, give or take, there was a multifamily development, a couple hundred units, give or take, two-bedroom type units on the site. So this has kind of been zoned this way for some time, and recently they've offered the community village, which kind of gives you the ability to do kind of a more modern design concept. We've got about 40 acres of area on the site and 1,000 feet, give or take, of frontage along Victor Drive. Cover out there is bare grass and woods, depending on where you're at and what time of the year it is. They've worked a little bit of the site. Mark's got some other projects in there and has used it staging area up towards Victor Drive. All of our utilities are provided along Victor Drive, and that would be water, sewer, electric, telephone, cable, gas, and then drainage into the wetlands that kind of surround the upland portion of the project site. So what are we proposing? So these are renderings here that Mark had commissioned the architect to prepare. Essentially, we get the footprint from the architect that meets the design objectives, and we try to place it on the site in a manner that works, and kind of work hand in glove with the team to develop the plan set. So what we have is we're developing on the overlay district, the community village overlay district. This is a 192 unit apartment. It's 48 unit buildings. There's 41 parking spaces provided at grade below each building. The town zoning requires, in this type of a development, one parking space for each unit to be covered. So we're able to cover 41 of the 48 at grade below the building. To make up for the additional parking that we can't fit under the building, we have 4 detached 7-stall garages located adjacent to each one of the units. We have basically a rental office associated with the development located at this location here. This would be kind of where some of the business associated with the development goes on, where people will come and go if they have questions, any kind of rental issues come up, they'll take care of it at that location there. We have a clubhouse of about 3,500 square feet. You can see the little pool that's located to the right of it on that sketch there. That clubhouse will have a fitness center, grass picnic area, and a playground kind of in that courtyard that is in between the clubhouse and the first building. All of the amenities of the site and the maintenance that goes along with that are the obligation of the development and essentially mark, right? So all of the fees associated with maintaining the landscaping, the facilities themselves, any pavement rehab, any rehab to the infrastructure, that's all part of the obligation of the development and not the town's. We have, one of the comments that we got when we met with the residents along Patrick Drive was they had made us aware that there were people that would walk their dogs through their development because it's a nice development along that winding road. They didn't necessarily like that. They didn't necessarily like the idea of maybe 192 additional people doing the same thing. So what we have proposed, and this is something that is found now in some of the higher end developments of this nature here, is we have a quarter-acre dog park that's specifically for the residents of the proposed development. But we're able to kind of salvage an area here over by the rental office, away from the development, where it would be fenced in, it would be landscaped, be complete with refuse facilities to make sure that we capture everything that's dropped. But that would alleviate some of the concerns we heard from the people along Patrick Drive. In addition to that, obviously, all of the refuse and recycling will be our responsibility. We have a recycling center that's located above this area right here. Idea being people come out, drop their trash off, and are able to go out toward the run the rest of their errands at that location. So we don't have 4 dumpsters all around. It's kind of confined in one area. We also have a bus stop, and we have a half a mile, give or take, of walking trails located on the site. One of the things we wanted to try to do is integrate the development with the wetlands that we have here. And the town has a 25-foot no disturbance buffer, so we can't go into that area, even for a walking trail. But what we've been able to do is create a network of sidewalks and walking trails that basically loop around the perimeter of the development and around the building and then back through. So if you start here and you go all the way around, it's a mile. So it was something that we want to be able to do. And again, that would be for the use of the residents themselves. With that, I think Joel can give you a little bit more detail on the amenities themselves, the units themselves, and the product.
Very good.
Good evening. So my name is Joel Kahn. I have a company called Equity Alliance out of Bedford, New Hampshire, and I have a specialty in really helping clients through the myriad of issues regarding multifamily development. So in the investment cycle, there's the market analysis component, the project design, the financial feasibility, of course, the construction to tie all that together, and then there's the ongoing operational issues associated with having a large project of this nature. And we're tasked to try to assist to ensure that the decisions that are being made through the entire process, reflect Mark's desires and objectives of a first-class structure with the type of architectural enhancements that you find typically in other projects Mark does as well, and to balance that against what the market is looking to see in today's modern apartments. We've gone out and looked first to identify, well, who really are our tenants, our residents. We actually get rid of the word tenants, it's residents. And what those today, when you go out to the market, is a lot of renter by choice families and individuals who are seeking an alternative to home ownership today, and who don't necessarily want to live in older product, who are looking today to have the kinds of features that are found in what is being proposed and in front of you today. The project, and those can be either young couples, young individuals starting out, and they can also, because of the fact these are 4-story elevated buildings over enclosed parking, they're very appropriate as well for the over 55 folks who no longer want to own their home but want to stay in the community, tied to family, as you might imagine. The project is comprised of 76 one-bedroom and 116 two-bedroom. That's basically 40% of them are ones and 60% are twos. They are approximately 750 square feet for the ones and 1,075 square feet for the twos. These are units that will be having totally individually metered, and so that the tenants are paying their own utilities. This includes the sub-metering of water as well. The goal here and objective is that we want to promote conservation. And in doing so, over the years, what you found is if you have tenants participate in the costs associated with their unit, they tend not to let the water run, and they tend to be much more respectful of what it takes in order to make these function. The project itself, as Jim outlined, it was built based on a lot of input from the town as well as the abutters. But it also reflects today's modern package, the kinds of amenities you find in today's type of projects. So for instance, you have the recreational component. In addition to the extensive trail networking, you have yourself a pool, a deck around the pool, you'll have an outside shower, there'll be a fitness center that will be 24 access by the tenants using a fob system. And this as a package is extremely attractive, and what many of the residents today would be looking for in today's market. The clubhouse would have such amenities as a gathering room. Gathering rooms are important as a place to not only congregate, but to also that might be rented out for baby showers, for birthday parties, or what have you. The project will be managed by a professional organization that will have 4 full-time staff members to support the site. The management office will have, for instance, such features as a parcel room. Today's FedEx, Amazon world, that there's so much more traffic in UPS and FedEx, and with people today mobile as they are, they're not there necessarily to receive packaging. And so today it becomes a management office that, believe it or not, needs to have a way in which they can receive and organize this on behalf of the residents.
I need one of those in my house.
Exactly. Back to the issue of being conscious about the environment around us today, this project will be developed with a lot of LED lighting. LED lighting creates a benefit for number one reasons, and not only, of course, saves energy, but also, for instance, in site lighting, doesn't cause the sites, you ever seen the glow effect that you find in older shopping centers, but the light is much more subtle, yet providing the foot candles that's required to make it a safe environment. It'll be pet friendly. There's a lot of ways in which that could be done today. When you have 4 buildings that's being proposed, you can make a couple that are pet friendly, a couple that are not, for those who don't want to have pets within the building. You have choices and ways in which you can control it. There's techniques that we'll even discuss as this evolves, for instance, of DNA dogs as they enter the project. And therefore, if you find that there's droppings where they shouldn't be, you can actually test them and find the residents. And it goes to the way in which professionally managed properties like this today are organized. They're organized with leases that also have rules and regulations that deal with not only our control and safety within the project and to make sure it's clean and respects the environment around it, but also has things about how traffic should exit and where cars, and the fact they have to be licensed, and all the good things you'd expect to make sure that it's run as one would expect. We're even discussing how we best deal with no smoking policies. Buildings themselves become no smoking almost automatically in today's world. There are some projects that even consider today making the entire property that. And it's an area that we're going to spend a great deal of time focusing at one point to ensure that we find a balance between the health of the residents there and the needs of others who may apply in the future. The units are also well appointed. So in today's modern apartments today, for instance, you have tall ceilings. No longer in the original apartments, they were all 7'8", as many of the old houses have been developed, but now you go to 9 foot, which creates much more room for the residents and creates much more light that enters the unit. They will all be designed with walk-in closets for the master bedroom. There's been studies done about how you actually can get better performance in a property and higher occupancy if you have more closet space. And there's actually experts that go out today and measure the market of which ones apartment complexes do better and which ones don't. The kitchens will be stainless steel and fully appliance with ranges and microwaves and dishwashers. The 2-bedroom units will all have 1 3/4 baths. They'll have tile floors. They'll be carpeted. They'll have features to make this, again, for a renter by choice, people who want to be in apartments, to feel like it truly is their home. And again, this is another place where LED lighting is introduced in a lot of different parts of the project internally as well, in hallways, in the garages where you have 24/7 lighting that's taking place. A couple more things is that one of the core concerns in development of a project like this goes to life safety questions, and there's a couple of them. Of course, it'll be sprinklered, and it'll be tied to fire panels and monitored, and all the things that, of course, that the fire department and the folks at the town hall would, of course, want to see. But in addition to that we will have a fob system for entering doors, for accessing the fitness center, for accessing the garage. There'll be cameras that'll be put. Not for active monitoring. There's no way one could sit there in front of a bunch of cameras and just watch and see what happened. But more importantly, for a forensic purpose, so if something were to happen, and you can't ever protect against anything not happening, is that you have a way to go back and be able to ascertain and work with the police to identify who might be the problem and how you deal with it. And with this whole kinds of approach to this security, what it does is it provides a safe environment for not just our elderly as they might want to occupy the premises, but also for young couples, young single people who want to feel safe as well. There's a lot of work yet to be done. I think Jim is going to close with a couple other comments about the project as well. Thank you.
So I just want to take another minute here and kind of wrap up and talk about some of the consideration and improvements beyond just our property alone and what Mark is proposing as part of the development. So the overlay zoning district has an affordable housing unit component and an allowance in there that allows you to make a fee in lieu of these units. And that's what we have proposed now to the planning board, is to not provide the affordable, but provide a fee in the amount of $725,000 in lieu of providing those affordable units. We've also talked a little bit with conservation about the potential to transfer ownership of approximately 16 acres in this area here. And that will be a combination of, it's actually 14 acres of passive recreation in open space, in that area here. In addition to that, we have a 2 to 2.5 acre upland parcel that butts along Main Street here, provides frontage to the project. We don't need that frontage, we have frontage along Victor Drive. The proposal that we've provided is to designate that for affordable housing at that location there. In addition, we have seen, since we've started to design this, that when the school has an activity, a sporting event starting and another one getting out, a lot of times we have these situations where we get parking along Victor Drive here. So one thing that we think we can do to help alleviate that is provide a gravel, kind of like an excess parking area that can be used when it needs to be used. Basically, we've got room here for about a 40 space gravel parking area, this general location here, and that should help alleviate some of the parking along Victor Drive there. In addition to that, we are proposing 8-foot concrete sidewalk along Victor Drive here, and eventually along Main Street here. Right now, Victor Drive has a 4 to 5 foot, depending on where you are, sidewalk in varying condition, and this is gonna really kind of spruce up the area, make it a little bit wider, and make it more pedestrian friendly. Finally, what we're proposing is a connection from Victor Drive through the school property here. It's about 1,900 feet here to get out to Livingston Street. That would be an 8 to 10 foot walking, bike trail, whatever we want to do out there. But that's about 1,900 feet. We'll connect up with the rec fields over off of Livingston Street there. So in total, that's somewhere about total cash, land, and offsite improvements of $1.3 to $1.4 million. So to wrap up here, I just kind of want to tell you where we stand right now. We've met with the planning board twice. We've met with conservation once. We're in the midst of a significant review by DPW, by the planning board's consultant, by the Conservation Commission's separate consultant, as well as all the department heads. So we've now got our arms wrapped around all their comments, all their thoughts. We're finalizing our set of amended plans to address these comments, which is something we'll have done within the next week or so. And at that point, we'll be back in front of the Planning Board of Conservation in the next few weeks. State-wise, DEP will review our order of conditions. We don't have direct access onto Main Street, but DOT will also review all of this. And there's a MEPA filing because we tripped certain thresholds for MEPA. So that's something that we are proposing to do once we get kind of our arms wrapped around the final pieces of this. And the last thing I just kind of wanted to touch on here is there was some question on the commercial component. Originally, this was a mixed use with the residential and a commercial component up front. Just kind of wanted to give you a sense. Obviously, this is not designed, this is not part of the project, this is probably the next phase. Once this gets up and running, we find end users for this property here. This front property along Main and Victor has physical room for the buildings and parking for somewhere around 20 to 25,000 square feet of retail, and then office up on the second floor. Originally, we went in with the initial concepts with the planning board that this was going to be part of it. It's just a different market, and without that end user in mind, it's really hard to define exactly how the configuration is all going to lay out. And this isn't the final layout. This is just something that kind of shows a mass and how these buildings will actually set. So I think that is the project.
Actually, I'm going to add one more for you, Jim. I know you're covered. So one other aspect of what has been discussed, and it was discussed last time with the planning board, we brought the traffic expert into the table, and the planning board had their expert, and they had this wonderful discussion about, of course, the Victor Drive 38 intersection and what impacts the traffic that specifically would have. And they go through their fancy analysis where they rate the turning movements A, B, C, and you don't really get into trouble with it. You get down to D and below and kind of stuff like that. And they looked at the queuing southbound in the school, took into account the buses, and they spent specific focus on the morning and afternoon when those impacts are the greatest. And what they learned from their extensive work, and I think there was agreement last night with the town expert who they hired independently, is that all of the turning movements would function as they do today, and they are all A and B, except for one change that will occur on the morning, the exiting from Victor, where there would be an added about 7-second delay for those waiting in the queue from what the existing conditions are as they exist today. And there was a lot of work with that and discussion.